Okay. Welcome to my video about this beautiful nocturne. The video which is a part of the whole series of analysis of all of Chopin's music. This year of music that was published during Chopin's life. And maybe next year I will also make videos about pieces that were not published during Chopin's life. We'll see. Nocturne in G major, opus 37, number 2. The piece that some time ago was one of the most popular Chopin nocturnes, and somehow during the 20th century, together with his brother in G minor, it became less and less popular. And now it's not as popular as Opus 27 or Opus 9 or the C, especially C minor, Opus 48, number 1, which probably also must have something to do with the Chopin, International Chopin competition in Warsaw, and the fact that this nocturne is not often chosen by the participants. One of the reasons, probably the main reason, is that, well, there are two reasons. It's extremely hard, extremely difficult, but this is not a reason, should not be a reason, because young pianists, they love to play difficult pieces, but this is the problem. The difficulty of this nocturne is hidden, so this is not really like a show-off piece, but it's extremely hard to practice. And usually pianists, they prefer, when they choose etudes, of course they choose the most difficult etudes, but when they choose nocturnes, they don't really want to maybe practice even nocturnes. I mean, you still have to practice everything, so why you have to practice even the nocturne if you can choose equally difficult from the jury point of view? But from a pianist point of view, well, in my opinion, this nocturne should be called an etude. And I don't know why Chopin called it a nocturne. Pianistically, this should be an etude for double notes. I mean, because in part A, right hand always plays two voices, and they are not comfortable to play and not easy at all, and they are in many different keys. We are going to talk about all that during our analysis. What to start, because I have so much to tell you about this nocturne that I do hope you will survive this video. You will stay until the end of the video. Well, I try not to make it too long, but I really want to touch all the subjects, and we have quite a lot of them here. When was it written? First question. We don't know exactly. Some musicologists suppose that it was written in Majorca, which I doubt, because Chopin was too sick in Majorca, and he was too busy with polishing his preludes especially, and in fact he didn't write too many new music in Majorca. Too much new music. I mean, he wrote too many pieces. He wrote some of the preludes, but most of the preludes were written before, and he was just, polishing them, because he was really sick, and his health was really bad. He was even afraid of dying, which the proof is that we have from this period just before we have the Chopin Second Sonata and the Funeral March. So that was not quite a good time to write such a bright, beautiful music like this, but it could be, because Schubert is the perfect example. But in my humble opinion, this nocturne was written just shortly after coming back from Majorca. Because especially part B, so the second part, the slow one of this nocturne, is, I mean, for me personally, gives the impression that it was written by an artist who recovered from a very severe illness. You know the feeling. I mean, I hope you never experienced, but I'm sure that some of you experience, or your family members experience, this time when you got a very severe illness and you were frightened, of course, because health is something that we have. It's the most important thing probably that we have, maybe apart from people that we love. And losing it, just the thinking of losing it and life, is a terrible feeling. And we know from fact that Chopin had this feeling, and we know even in the music of Chopin there is quite a lot of it, but not in this nocturne. So the feeling when we get better, and the feeling when it's like we have a new life. And in this second theme, I mean in the part B, and the way it is written, for me it's obvious that this comes straight from Chopin's soul. I mean the way how he wrote it, and that he felt like he got a new life in a way. So that's the first theme, the first, I mean, topic that I want to touch. Now I played for you part A and part B, and there is nothing more in this nocturne. If you listen to this nocturne, if you know it, and if you analyzed it yourself, I'm sure you notice, because it's not very difficult to notice, that the construction of this nocturne is as follows: A, then B, then A, then B, then A, and a little bit of B at the end. So there is nothing more. Is it strange? Is it innovative? Yes, it is. Is it something new when we compare to other nocturnes of Chopin? Yes, it is. We know that Chopin usually chose ABA structure. Sometimes he resigned from part B. Part B. Sometimes he put the dramatic part B at the end, like in the B major nocturne. And in one case, in D flat major, we had a rondo, kind of. But the very strange rondo, but still it was a rondo. So, again, something new. We see that Chopin was a composer who was constantly searching. He was constantly looking for something new, trying to improve. He didn't want to write again the same music like many other composers did, for example Franz Liszt, and many other, without changing something. He was a perfectionist, and he was never satisfied. He always wanted to improve, and this is beautiful, and this is special. So, as I said, only two parts, A and B. Of course they are contrasting, but in a different way. The first one is faster, the second slower. So it's unlike usually we had in nocturnes when the part B was stormy. Here both are in the romantic way, the nocturne way, the evening music, romantic music. But indeed they are very, very different. And now when we go in deeper into the analysis, we will find out what exactly is different. But even more, we will find out something that, I promise you, will shock all of us. All of you, just like it shocked me when I discovered that. Now I'm just, warming up the pressure. But soon I will tell you what I want, what I found it here. Excuse me. First of all, let's make analysis of part A, the way it's constructed, and let's see what is special, because there are some characteristic things. First of all, the accompaniment of the left hand. The accompaniment of the left hand it is on 6, and it reminds us of some waving, the movement of waving. If we compare this nocturne, and this is something that I love to do, if we compare to this piece, then immediately we feel, oh my god, almost the same. What was that? That was a barcarolle. So the Venetian boat, right? Boat in Venice. Well, David DeBal, American musicologist, pianist, writer, fantastic man who I'm privileged to know in person, and I'm privileged to have lesson with him even. He called this nocturne a kind of Venetian song, like a barcarolle, and he was not far from the truth. I think it really reminds us of this. But did really Chopin, did he think like this? We don't know. We will never know. But that is what we think and feel when we hear, especially the accompaniment and also the dialogue, the duet of the right hand. That is first thing. Second thing, as I said, right hand in the part A always plays double notes. That's why I call this nocturne an etude for double notes. And it's very uncomfortable to play, and it's constantly changing. I mean, the key, the tonality is changing. So what we hear is almost never in the same key. I will talk about it soon. But what is also very characteristic in this nocturne, and it's very easy to catch, I'm sure you will catch when I play it for you now, is the dialogue of two motifs. And let's separate these two motifs. The first motif, ta 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 tam, ta 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 tam, ta 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 tam, 5 notes, ta 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 tam. 5 notes that actually they are asking questions. Usually they go up, they ask question, and then the answer is something is falling down, like some curtain, some very beautiful. Constantly we have double notes, right? 2 voices, and these 2 motifs, they are having a conversation. That's how we can call it. Now let's listen to this beautiful conversation. Let's call the first motif A, and the second motif B. So A, B, beep, A, B, and B, A, and B, A, and A. easy to catch, I think. And this is all. That's how it is constructed. But now, I have a question for you. Doesn't it, I mean the whole part A, sound a little strange for you? A little uncomfortable musically? Don't you feel any, how to say, the feeling of getting lost maybe, or that something is not really like it was in, you know, yeah, of course it's different, but if you felt this strange feeling, you are correct. And I'm now talking especially to not musicians, if I can call it, to music lovers, because musicians, maybe you know what I want to talk about, maybe. But I want to now touch the thing and the topic in this nocturne, in this piece of music, which is the most important of this video, and which is shocking. I must tell you that at first, when I started to learn this nocturne, I didn't realize the thing that I want to talk about now. I didn't realize this. I was just learning this extremely difficult piece. It took me a lot of time, I must say, and I was getting more and more and more annoyed, frankly, of Chopin, of the fact that he was constantly changing, as I said, the tonality, the key. And now a few words about the harmony and the key, because if you are a musician, you know what I mean. But if you're not a musician, this video is also for you. So I really want you to understand. So please, musicians, give me 5 minutes, I hope, maybe less, to explain in a very simple words what is a key, what is how we call the key in English, or the tonality. When we have a title of a piece of classical music, for example, nocturne, etude, right, or scherzo, or ballad, we always add in G minor, G major, here is G major, for example, right, and so on. This is exactly the key in which this piece is written. We add this to differentiate, to make it easier for us to know what which piece it will be. Of course, the piece also has an opus number. This is something else. But in tonal music, the piece must always be in some key. So the composer, before starting to write a piece, decides about the character, about the melody, and in which key it would sound the best. Right? So when we have this melody, Chopin decided that this will sound the best in E flat major, but why not? I mean, he could even write it in C major. But maybe he tried a few. He decided E flat major is the warmest for him and will sound the best. And now comes the point. The decision, I mean, every key has a little different color. And let's call the tonality a world of the sound, the world of the sound of the piece of music. Every key, when we have, for example, G major, like here, it means that the general chord is G major, which is a chord that is built on the note G. And now the question: how how many different chords, how many different chords we can build and construct. How many different chords exist? I mean, I'm talking about simple chords now. Let's count, because on every note of the scale we can build two chords, major and minor. So we start from C. So we have C major and C minor. These are two. C major, C minor, two. We go up a little, one note. We have another two. We have four. Then we have 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. We are still not done yet. 20. We are now in A. So it's still not over. 20. Still not over. 22, sorry, 22. I made a mistake. And now 24. So altogether we have 24. Why not more? Because now when I play next one, I am again in the C. So the note which I started from. Because it's like a circle. This is the world of the sound. So basically 24 different keys. And now the question, I mean, as I told you before, the composer decides in which key the music he composes will sound the best. And he writes in this key. Sometimes of course in the piece of music, the composer can change the tonality. We call it a modulation. He's modulating to another tonality, another key. But usually in one piece of music, the composer is using not too many different keys, and especially he's not using the keys which are very far away from the main key. But it never happens that the composer uses all 24 keys. If musicians now, a question for you, do you know any piece of music from the Romantic era, classical era, or whatever, when we have in one piece of music all the 24 keys in one piece? Or I mean, that in some moment of the piece we have the chords, all the 24 chords. You know what I mean? Well, I didn't know any piece like this until this Nocturne. Yes. So coming back to my story now, I was getting more and more frustrated, and a few days ago I finally took a piece of paper and I said, okay, I will check this, because it's ridiculous how many times Chopin is changing the key in this piece. It makes it very hard to memorize, very hard to play, and it's just strange. So I started to write down all the keys all the chords and keys that exists in this piece. And when I finished, I counted. And I counted more than 24. I don't remember now, 27, 28. Well, now you ask, what is he talking about? There are 24. How could he count more? I explain. Because most of the keys, I mean all of them, they can be named twice. So, for example, when we have A flat major, this is the same chord, can also be G sharp major. Musicians know what I'm talking about. Amateurs, I just want to tell you that this note can either be with the flat or with the sharp. That's why. So I had to write down the literal names of the keys. So I wrote, and that was more than that. So then what I did next, because I couldn't believe in this. I was like, Chopin, this is too much. How could you do this? How is it possible? So I thought maybe, I was thinking, maybe Chopin really wanted to do it on purpose, and he really wanted to use all the 24 chords and keys in one piece, something that nobody before him did for sure. He decided, okay, and so I decided I'm going to check, and I checked, and I started with C major, and I looked at my paper. Is it at C major there when I wrote down? Yes, it is. C minor? Yes, it is. The next one, D flat major? Yes, it is. D flat minor? Yes, it is. And all the 24 existed. Then I checked the internet and I checked the analysis of this nocturne. I could find all of that I could find, a Wikipedia and everything. And I didn't find anybody who wrote about this very special thing. So that made me even more shocked. Anyway, if you find or you know some analysis that is talking about this, please drop me a comment, because I would love to know. If not, I'm the first one. Yay! Anyway, that is the fact. And is it really important for us musicians, not melomans, the music lovers? I think yes. I think yes, because it explains a lot of things, and it's deeply symbolic. Chopin couldn't decide on one key. He couldn't decide how it will sound. And this is a symbol also of this being indecisive, and of couldn't find, that Chopin is searching all the piece. He's searching. We are never satisfied. Never. Because there is a constant change. Or maybe there is a symbol of the philosophical problem that the world and our life is in a constant change. Definitely, in my opinion, this is the greatest of Chopin's nocturnes from the especially compositional point of view. And knowing that now, I will play for you again part A, and I will point out every single modulation that we hear. Excuse me, I talk too much. I have to focus to this. It's not easy. Okay. And now we are in A minor, so we had a modulation. Now we are in a different key, already in bar number 4. And this is minor, so the same theme but in minor. We came back to G major, but just for a little, because now listen to this. Different key, so the modulation. Again different key, and now my friends, I tell you what. This is D flat major. D flat major in bar number 9. What does it mean? It means that already at the beginning of the piece, maybe after 10 seconds of the music, Chopin takes us to the moon. From G major to D flat major is like from the earth to the moon. And the best thing in this is that we didn't realize it. I'm sure we didn't. Only if you have a perfect pitch, you realize that. And then maybe it's even more shocking for you. I don't know. I don't have a perfect pitch. But I think it must be. Anyway, D flat major, for not musicians. D flat major is the chord, this chord. The key D flat major has 5 flats. And G major is here. And has 1 sharp. If we play them together, they completely doesn't work, because not even one note in these chords are the same. So for composers, connecting those two keys is forbidden. not here, not here. Anyway, so let's count from this, because I will not play it again because it will be the video will be too long, you will fall asleep. But anyway, first modulation, second modulation, third, fourth. We are in the fourth modulation, we are in D flat major, and we have the same theme but in D flat major. E flat minor, E flat minor. But I will stop, don't worry, I will stop naming the keys. It's not really important. If you are a musician, you can analyze the piece yourself. But now just counting the modulations, so that you are aware of them. Here. Here. Again. In one melody, two modulations. This is D minor, for example, and again it's different. Here we are for a longer time in one key. But what happens now? Modulation. Again. And again another key. Again. This is what sounds so strange, because Chopin is looking, he wants to use all of them. That's all. That's why he is changing. And then finally we stopped. And then starts part B. A few words about part B before we continue. One of the most beautiful melodies that Chopin ever wrote. These are words of one of the musicologists, I don't now remember the name, but Polish musicologist. Well, this is very subjective. I know many melodies that I love. This is also very beautiful, but there is another interesting thing. And the music, one of the Polish musicologists, Kleczyński, this name I remember, he said that this melody is actually not an original Chopin melody, but is a melody inspired by a little copying of the French folk song that were sung, and probably is still being sung in the Normandy. I was looking for this song. I listened to a lot of French folk songs, and I found the song. The title is Ma Normandie. Excuse me. Yes, Ma Normandie. And now I want to play it for you, and then let's compare to Chopin's Nocturne. Okay.
Quand tout renaît à l'espérance et que l'hiver fuit loin de nous, sous le beau ciel de notre France, quand le soleil revient plus doux, quand la nature a reverdi, que l'hirondelle est de retour, j'aime à revoir ma Normandie, c'est le pays qui m'a donné le jour.
Beautiful. The rhythm is the same, and there are some I mean, the melody is very similar. Of course, we know that if Chopin was quoting something, he was never literal. We have the example in his first scherzo with the Polish excuse me, Christmas carol that is not exactly literal. Chopin didn't like literal quotations. Is it really a truth? We can't say because Chopin never said. But it is probable. But anyway, I want to point out something else in part B. Is part B finally stable? Did Chopin finally find one key for the melody? Can we feel safe? Can we be sure that he will not change constantly? I wouldn't say so. Let's listen. The new key. Then we have another melody which is a little contrasting. It brings a little bit of sadness. And again the first melody, but in a different key again. Again different key. So this melody, beautiful melody, in 4 different keys. And it's not the end, because part B will appear again and again with different keys. This is what is really unique in this nocturne. The first thing and the most important thing. The second thing is the construction. A, B, A, B, A, B. Now, just the last thing. In which way the part B is contrasting to part A? In many ways. Of course it's slower, but I would like to point out one thing that maybe not all of you caught immediately. Part B had no accompaniment. When I played for you the song, I found on purpose, I found the song without any accompaniment, because this is exactly what Chopin used here. When we had part A, we had left hand with the accompaniment. Here we have no accompaniment. We have just long chords and nothing else, so that the focus is only on the melody and nothing else, and this is also made on purpose. And you know, for me, this part B is written by an artist who has time, and it's written for the people who have time. So with this nocturne we can say that fully, that truly Chopin matured. This is a mature Chopin. Chopin who survived very severe illness. Chopin who broke up 2 very important for him, relationships. Chopin, who loved and who suffered, who lost some of his friends, who tasted all life tastes, if I can say, if you remember what I, if you understand what I want to say. We have so much time in this. It comforts us. It gives us the feeling of peace. Beautiful. Now let me compare 4 melodies. I will just take them out and play for you, just so that you can really experience this, the different tonalities, the different keys. Let's listen to the first one. Second time. Third time. Different. And then finally fourth time. Part A again. Part A in the second time seems to be the same like in the first time, but it's not, because of the left hand. If you have very good ear, maybe you noticed, or you can notice during listening, that the left hand is different, because the bass is always the same, and it is even a little out of tune. I mean, it should not be like this. Let's listen. It's always the same note, but it should be different note, like at the beginning. It doesn't work. It should be like at the beginning, but this part A at the second time has this strange bass all the time, for until halfway through. So all the time. All the time. This is also very experimenting. And Chopin is experimenting, sorry. And then finally we have a different bass. And here again is something different. We've never reached such a top in this Nocturne. Now this is for the first time when we are again in a different key. Why not? There's still a lot to choose. So here Chopin is using this very again modulation. And now part B. In a different key again. E major this time. Well, always different key. And then we have part B with again many different keys. And then we have again part A for the last time. And this time part A in a way gets angry musically. Let's listen. gets angry, yes. Apart from the fact that I played it wrongly, because the last 5 notes Chopin says diminuendo, so not like I just played. I'm so sorry, Chopin, sorry. I will have to play it for you again. Listen. More, and then less. So it's a kind of surprise, and everything stops. But definitely part A, something happened to part A. It's a symbol. Something happened to part A. It gets angry, something happened, and then suddenly everything is cut. And what happens next? Part B. And finally, for the first time in the piece, in G major. And that's how all the piece ends. With 2 calm chords. We don't want it to end because we want this part B, the beautiful melody, to last forever. That's how it makes us feel. It makes us feel very calm. So I think, we could talk for hours about this nocturne, and I'm sure I didn't get everything what Chopin put here, because that's genius. But I hope I made some things clearer, and I hope that now this nocturne will be listened by you in a little different way, and especially I wanted to show the genius of Chopin in this piece. Let me play it through again. As I said, this is a piece for people who have time. If you are here with me until now, I'm sure you have time. So let's enjoy. And let's enjoy this nocturne in not too fast tempo, unfortunately. And I found it even in the Wikipedia. When you find this nocturne, the description of this nocturne in the Wikipedia, there is something very interesting. One moment, if I found it, I hope I find it now. Yes, there is a lot of interesting thing. I recommend you to find the Wikipedia Nocturnes Opus 37 in English. And about Nocturne number 2, we can read that Honecker, very famous musicologist, commented that pianists usually take the first part too fast, the second too slowly, and play the piece like an etude. Definitely true. I agree, especially with the first part, because I think the part B can be played slowly. Chopin writes here sostenuto, which means slower, because it needs time. But about the first part, my humble opinion is that we also need time to absorb all the modulations, to absorb all the colors, because there isn't any piece, not any other piece that I know, that has so many colors, simply because we have all the keys in this piece. So let's enjoy this colorful painting. And while playing, I will just point some modulations, all the modulations, so that you can hear where they are. Because on the concerts you can't. Of course you can try yourself, but you probably will be astonished by the number of them. First one. 31. Sorry. 36. Incredible. At least 44, if I counted correctly, 44 modulations. But it doesn't mean we had 44 keys, because some of the modulations, maybe half of them, were to the key that existed before, if you know what I mean. So just changing the gravity of music, which means the modulating. This we had 44 times in one piece of music that lasts 6 minutes. This is strange. The last word. The way Chopin wrote it, the way that when we listen to this nocturne, we don't really feel very much how distant some of keys are to the other ones, is the proof of his genius. his great genius. And with this word, I leave you for now. Thank you very much, and you are invited to watch my other videos. Thanks for being here, thanks for your support, and see you again. Bye bye.